Hello everybody, today on Reviewed as Food we're going to be looking at the extremely rich game Dustforce while taking on the challenge of making sourdough bread and seeing how the two compare. There is no doubt when looking at the game that the bulk of the focus was given to the gameplay. It's quite simple in terms of options, as anybody who's had some experience with platformers will feel right at home. Outside of the classical double jumping and dashing, you also have access to a weak and strong attack, with a super becoming available after getting enough energy for it. Similarly, bread isn't exactly going to be blowing any minds, with the main components being flour, water, and sourdough starter. Of course, this can be expanded upon by adding stuff to the dough, and that's exactly what the dev team did with Dustforce. You're able to stick to walls and ceilings while gliding along them, and although it might seem simple, it has been given the same treatment as all other game mechanics, and has a tremendous sense of flow to it. Each movement you do has the potential to chain into your next action, with very little slowing you down. These actions leading into one another and being able to combine each individual element into something greater is really what stands at the core of what gives the game its identity. Much like how bread is a very simple food in terms of what goes into it, but with enough care and proper technique from the person, it can become something much greater than each of its individual parts. Speaking of proper technique, I'm so happy that we live in an age where information is easily accessible, as it would otherwise take me years to get anywhere near anything that wasn't a dough making its best brick impression. Even techniques like this one, which creates proper gluten development, are integral to getting anywhere while being easily dismissed if there's not enough understanding on the matter. Similarly, while playing Dustforce, you're quickly going to notice that the leaderboard show times that seem impossible. But because the game allows you to view those replays, you can quickly see where you might be making errors, as well as learn from the pros. But it might not be enough to give you full comprehension of what you need to do, so it's very likely that you'll reach out to the internet for help. I'm clearly not at a high level here, which can be attributed to two main reasons. The first one being that I never went looking for guides while playing the game, and was content with beating my own times without going any further. And the second point being that I've simply not put enough time into it. I don't need to tell you that it takes time to get good at something, but I can only imagine how many hours these top players have put in, and it stands as a testament to how well all of the mechanics function at all levels of skill. As always, gameplay needs a stage to make full use of it, and the level design of the game is incredibly well done. What's most interesting about it is the level of restraint that has been put in here. Not only in the difficulty, mind you, but also in what the level stands to test. Each level is given an identity, with some being a box containing enemies for you to beat up, and others being about vertical or horizontal traversal. And then there's the levels that take place in tight spaces that require high precision just to make it to the end. By doing this, each level tests very specific skills while not overloading you too early by combining the different aspects. And I felt like my skills were tested in the same way while I was making the bread. I needed to make sure that my time management was there in order to adhere to the fermentation process correctly, as well as putting the proper amounts of the different ingredients into the dough, and don't get me started on the handling and shaping of the dough itself. But since everything was spaced out, with each element being done with enough time between them to get myself mentally ready, I managed to get through it. I think everyone can tell by now that the game is very pleasing to the eye. The colors are clear, which makes it easy to distinguish each individual component. And since they tend to stay away from very bright colors, looking at it for extended periods of time doesn't end up straining your eyes, which is very important when a game expects the mastery of it to be its main driving point. Similarly, the music is non-intrusive. It's intentionally not trying to grab your attention, making it the perfect candidate for background music while doing something that requires a lot of focus. Kind of like those chill study beats that everybody knows of. Saying all of this makes it seem like a perfect game, but even so, it didn't sell all that well. While being profitable, there's a clear distinction between the success of Dustforce and other indie hits. I would think that this could be attributed to two major factors. Firstly, we have the fact that there's no story in the game. A game that I quickly ended up making comparisons to is Celeste, and a part of that major appeal of the game is the story and the fact that you'll be able to get something out of it even though hardcore platforming might not be your cup of tea. This makes the barrier of entry softer and gives the game different talking points than the gameplay. I'd compare this to bread without any butter or toppings. The bread can be absolutely fantastic and the satisfaction of freshly baked bread is difficult to beat. But I'm not about to eat an entire loaf if I have nothing to put on. The second factor being that bread making and Dustforce can be scary to get into. You know before you start that you're about to embark on a journey that requires a lot of skills. But the possible satisfaction isn't going to be lost on anyone as it's all very familiar. I have some experience handling dough as I've been baking for years and can make a pretty good pizza if I say so myself. Even so, the entire process of sourdough bread seemed like a large mountain to climb, and putting in time into something while not being certain on the results is scary. But after having done both, I can say that they are very satisfying, and the barrier of entry was a lot lower than what I had built up in my mind. I am clearly not a Dustforce speedrunner, but even so, I've had plenty of great experiences with the game, and similarly, I would have some complaints on how my bread turned out, but it all went a lot smoother than I originally thought. All of these reasons are why, to me, Dustforce is sourdough bread. Thank you for watching the video and I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. As always, if you think that there is something that I could have done better, then please let me know in the comments. Thank you. Have a great day.